It can be a pretty rare thing for a series or a movie to stick the landing and do so in a tasteful and satisfying way. So when it does happen, I really want to boost the signal for it, and that is the case with Heart of the Mountain by Larry Correia, the sixth and final book in the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior series. Last week I bought the electronic arc from Baen Books. The full book comes out in February of next year, just a few months, if I remember right. And then the audiobook will come out later, just scheduling stuff. It's not a normal thing for me to spend $15 for a rough digital draft of a book, but I was invested enough in this one that I really wanted to get it and see how it wrapped up. And man, like, no spoilers, just it was a beautiful ending. It was tragic. There were heartbreaking moments. It was epic. There were moments of success. There were characters that you rooted for that made it out. There were characters that you rooted for that got an epic send-off. It was so well done. Like, I'm just going to sit here and kind of slobber over it, and keep in mind that I did just work like a 13-hour shift, so work was kind of mind-numbing as well. So forgive me on that. But the closing chapter got me thinking of series and trilogies that have ended incredibly well. So well that even years later I can still think of the last couple of sentences or the last word. The Hunger Games, the original trilogy, like, I don't remember exactly how, like, the verbiage that was used at the end of the prequel book, but I remember the send-off line for the trilogy where Katniss is watching her children play, thinking about her children playing in the meadow, knowing that it's actually a graveyard for all the people in District 12 who died during the war. And she wonders if they know that they're playing on a graveyard, and then the send-off line is, it's all right, there are more dangerous games you can play. And it was a little bit cheeky. There was a bit of a wink and a nod to it, but it was also, like, very solemn as she reflected on everything in her life that had led up to that moment and her role in it. Another series that, man, I'm really itching to get this reread and then, like, write up my take on it. It's been 5 years since I read this series, but the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. There are 3 books. There's also a prequel, but it does that thing where, like, the main series has a core cast of characters, and then the prequel is missing one of those characters, and it just feels off, like missing an ingredient from a dish. The prequel book is still good, but it's really lacking that key other voice. The Bartimaeus trilogy is about an orphaned magician in Britain in more or less the modern day, we'll say 20 years ago when the book was written. But it's not Harry Potter at all. In fact, this kid is a little bit of a tool, and he's ambitious, and he's conniving and scheming, and he is a little bit downtrodden, and he does get picked on, but he tries to fight back against his bully, and he makes a mistake. And the magic system in this world is dependent upon magicians being able to summon demons out of the ether, and then trap them in inanimate objects, and then that will imbue the object with some magical quality depending on the demon trapped inside it. And the kid ends up summoning a demon that's way above his level. As a result, he kind of shafts himself. The demon gets leverage over him. He's got leverage over the demon, and they have to work together to get themselves out of a pickle. And that's just the first book. It's not just a strong premise with strong writing around it. The characters are exceptional. It alternates viewpoint between Bartimaeus, the demon, and his stuff is written in first person, and this is an entity that's thousands of years old. He's cocky, he's witty, he's poetic at times. And then there's a third person perspective from Nathaniel, from the magician, that gives you a viewpoint on goings on in the story where Bartimaeus is not present, but they're still necessary for the overall narrative. In the second and third books, another narrator is added, or another viewpoint character rather, a girl named Kitty. She's not in the first book at all, and then she gets like really, really drawn out screen time, we'll say, page time in the second one. And so it feels like there's some making up to do, but she's got a critical role to play throughout the trilogy. And the way that it ends is just, I don't want to spoil it here either, because I'm going to guess that if you're listening to this video, you probably haven't read the series. I'll do that in my summary video, but that ending, I was thinking about that ending for days and weeks and years after the fact, and I still want to eventually, somehow, some way, write something that good before I die. Jonathan Stroud has written a couple of books since then, but I think he just shot his shot with Bartimaeus. He shows that he's still got good writing chops for the most part, but man, like, it would be a real feat to ever top the idea that he had with the Bartimaeus series. And to his credit, even though some of his succeeding works were not as good, to his credit, he hasn't tried to rehash it or do the exact same thing. Like, he's tried to do something new with everything that he's written. I don't know if he'll ever top Bartimaeus, but the ending is very, very powerful. I just realized also that I don't remember the exact ending of The Lord of the Rings, like which one it is, although I want to say it's Sam saying, I'm home, because in the words of Tolkien, really the main character is Sam. He's kind of the protagonist of it all. He's just a guy that helps Frodo in a sense, but really it's about him. Yeah, which makes sense then that it would end with him. Harry Potter, you remember, like, the final line of the book is his scar hadn't hurt for a long time. There are other books that I can think of where I get to the end and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's the way that it should end. But this one here, going back all the way to Heart of the Mountain, I keep thinking of, like, it's like when Star Trek The Next Generation ended. It was tasteful, it was well done, and it feels like this was the kind of thing that he was building to the entire time. And he did everything that he could, Larry did as a writer, he did everything that he could to earn it. And man, like, I'm glad that he had the supporting cast around him that he needed to get the book written this way. He was originally going to do this whole series as a trilogy. And then it was 5 books, and then it was 6 books, and apparently a lot of that has to do with Toni Weisskopf, his editor over at Baen. She's just been at this for a long time. She knows what she's doing, and man, having her fingerprints on this series, getting it to where it is now, really, really paid off. You can look on my channel. I've got a playlist for Saga of the Forgotten Warrior. I've got summaries of the first 4 books. I didn't do a summary of the 5th one. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. It'll be 3 weeks ago tomorrow. And I'm not going to do a summary video of the 6th one, because the whole point of those summary videos is to get you caught up for a series, unless it's something that's been out for a while, like Temeraire or Aragon. It'll be years and years if and before I ever do a summary video of the Heart of the Mountain. It's just Heart of the Mountain. This is a rewarding epic fantasy. It's epic fantasy done right and done well, and it just satisfies. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. An easy 5 stars for Heart of the Mountain. Read it. Let me know what you think. Hey, thank you for watching that. Did you know that I'm also an author? You can check the description for a link to my book, Mr. Friday. It's set in a future where Black Friday is militarized and televised, and the best Friday fighters end up getting sponsors and backing, but it just so happens that the very best of them actually wants to take the holiday down. When he's approached by a couple of other like-minded fighters, he jumps at the chance, and it goes haywire from there. This is a short novella, and it's available in ebook format for just 99 cents. Drive safe. See you out there.